Hi, everyone. Welcome to Upper Room Ministries Sunday School. So glad that you've joined us today. You've been following along for the last several months. You'll know that we've been in the book of Psalms, going through each and every one, seeing what they all have to offer. We're starting today's session in Psalm 48. Okay, Psalm 48. It's called The Glory of God in Zion. A song, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Okay, this particular psalm places a lot of emphasis on Jerusalem, and specifically God's great love for Jerusalem. And just the great display of power and favor that God shows to Jerusalem. God's plan, was to, make the nation of Israel a witness to the other nations, in the hopes that the other nations would realize that Israel's God is the true God, and they would surrender to the one true God. Didn't exactly work out that way, as Israel became full of themselves too often. But that's a whole different story. So let's get started. Psalm 48. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, in the city of our God, in his holy mountain. City of our God, that's Jerusalem. Beautiful in elevation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. God is in her palaces. He is known as her refuge. All right. The city of the great King. Yes. Jesus quoted those words in Matthew 5:35, and he specifically identified the city as Jerusalem. Yeah. God is in her palaces. He is known as her refuge. Again, showing the presence and the favor of God in Jerusalem. Okay. For behold, the kings assembled. They passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled. They hastened away. Fear took hold of them there, and pain as of a woman in birth pangs, as when you break the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. Now, this is actually a reference to a previous psalm, Psalm 2, which was written by David. But ultimately, the Psalms are authored by the Holy Ghost. He does it through any writer he chooses. Anyway, let me read from Psalm 2, starting in verse 1. Why do the nations rage, and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. And then he shall speak to them in his wrath, and distress them in his deep displeasure. Yet I have set my king on my holy hill of Zion. Mm-hmm. Same language. And again, let's read Psalm 48, 4 through 7 again. For behold, the kings assembled, they passed by together, they saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled, they hastened away. Fear took hold of them there, and pain as of a woman in birth pangs, as when you break the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. So, yeah. The kings assembled, they approached Jerusalem, ran away. They knew it was hopeless. No wonder he who sits in heaven was laughing. They knew they didn't have a chance. Verse 8. As we have heard, so we have seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Forever. Mm-hmm. Jerusalem will be, it's a forever city. It is. It cannot be destroyed because it's been established by God himself. 9. We have thought, O God, on your loving kindness in the midst of your temple. According to your name, O God, so is your praise to the ends of the earth. Your right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of your judgments. Walk about Zion and go all around her. Count her towers. Mark well her bulwarks. Consider her palaces, that you may tell it to the generation following. For this is God, our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even to death. Okay. All right, Psalm 49. The confidence of the foolish. To the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Hear this, all peoples. Give ear, all inhabitants of the world. Both low and high, rich and poor together, my mouth shall speak wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall give me understanding. I will incline my ear to a proverb. I will disclose my dark saying on the harp. Why should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity at my heels surrounds me? Those who trust in their wealth and boast in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their souls is costly, and it shall cease forever, that he should continue to live eternally and not see the pit. The writer, the psalmist, is someone who certainly has wisdom. Says he speaks wisdom. Says, I will incline my ear to a proverb. In our study of the Proverbs, we find that there are full of wisdom. Full of good advice. I will disclose my dark saying on the harp. That can be translated into riddle or enigma, and refers to a perplexing moral problem. He just takes it to the harp. Could be, could be made into a psalm, and psalms are quite often spoken as prayers. When you have a complex problem, you pray. Seek God about it. Don't think you've got it all figured out on your own. And then in the next stanza, he gives a piece of valuable wisdom for those who put trust in their wealth and their riches. It can't redeem them, nor give to God a ransom for him, for the redemption of their souls is costly. All your wealth, all your money can't buy you a place in heaven. It can't make you right with God. And it talks about the redemptions of their souls is costly. And the redemption of any soul is costly. Cost a life. Yeah, it cost Jesus his life. But it was a cost he was willing to pay for each and every one of us. That he should continue to live eternally and not see the pit. Yeah. That's the salvation plan right there. Verse 10. For he sees wise men die. Likewise the fool and the senseless person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inner thought is that their houses will last forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man, though in honor, does not remain. He is like the beasts that perish. Oh, this is Ecclesiastes. This is pretty much the theme that we studied in Ecclesiastes much earlier. These buildings, these places, these legacies that people strive to build. They think they may last generation after generation, and while they may last longer than they do, eventually they themselves die. And then other people get what they spent their lives obtaining and building. You can really sense the meaninglessness of striving to obtain wealth, because in the end, you die and you can't take it with you. All right. 13. This is the way of those who are foolish, and of their posterity who approve their sayings. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them. The upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall be consumed in the grave, far from their dwelling. But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. Yes. O death, where is your sting? Says Paul. Because he believed in the redemptive power of God, and how the power of God can redeem him from the grave. He knew that. It's faith. Paul has saving faith. "16. Do not be afraid when one becomes rich, when the glory of his house is increased. For when he dies, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. Though while he lives, he blesses himself, for men will praise you when you do well for yourself. Yes, they do. Of course, a lot of that's flattery. It's all a means of buttering you up so they can get something in return later down the road. He shall go to the generation of his fathers. They shall never see light. A man who is in honor, yet does not understand, is like the beasts that perish. A man who is in honor, has the respect of society, and yet lacks understanding. It's like the beasts that perish. Yeah, beasts big and strong, but eventually they perish. Then what? Again, a psalm that really goes hand in hand with Ecclesiastes. All right. Psalm 50. God the righteous judge. A psalm of Asaph. The mighty one, God the Lord, has spoken and called the earth, from the rising of the sun to its going down. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God will shine forth. Our God shall come and shall not be silent. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous all around him. He shall call to the heavens above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together to me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Let the heavens declare his righteousness, for God himself is judge. Out of Zion, God will shine forth, God shall come, and shall not keep silent. When it comes to dealing with injustice, God will not be silent. He will come. And to the earth, that he may judge his people. Yes. Those who are his people, they of course get judged first, because they're the ones that know his ways. And therefore, those who know his ways are held to a higher standard as compared to those who don't know his ways. Yeah, that's always where it starts, with his people, with his saints. Yeah. Yeah, I like how it says, gather my saints together to me. He still calls them saints. Not sinners, saints. And, that's how we need to identify ourselves, those of us who are truly born again. None of the sinners saved by grace. No, sinners, that's your past life. Once you get transformed, you become a saint. And I think once we start believing that we're saints, that's when we'll truly begin to live like saints. Okay, continuing on, verse 7. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against you. I am God, your God. I will not rebuke you for your sacrifices or your burnt offerings, which are continually before me. I will not take a bull from your house, nor goats out of your folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. Okay. The funny thing about sacrifices, we should never ever think that by offering up a sacrifice, we're doing God a favor, because all those animals belong to Him anyway. It's the same thing with money. When we pay our tithes. We're thinking, we might think how we're blessing God with how big of a check we write. Well, listen, all money belongs to God anyway, all of it. It's all His to begin with. And we do have to be accountable to God about how we use His money. That's so important to remember. All right. Verse 12. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine, and all its fullness. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer to God thanksgiving, and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. But to the wicked, God says, what right have you to declare my statutes, or take my covenant in your mouth, seeing you hate instruction and cast my words behind you? When you saw a thief, you consented with him, and have been a partaker with adulterers. You give your mouth to evil, and your tongue frames deceit. You sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. These things you have done, and I kept silent. You thought that I was altogether like you, but I will rebuke you and set them in order before your eyes. This is not being directed against any any foreign nation. Oh no. No, this is being directed at the people of Israel, who know, God's ways, God's statutes, and choose to spurn them. Yeah, he says in 16, what right have you to declare my statutes or take my covenant in your mouth? Pretty much thinking that, because, we're a covenant people, we're just entitled to all the blessings of the covenant, regardless of how obedient we were to your laws and statutes. Oh, no, not how it works, not how it works. The blessings of the covenant are conditional. It was pretty clear laid out in Deuteronomy. Observe my statutes, blessings follow you. Don't observe my statutes, curses follow you. So God is posing the question, what right do you have to declare my statutes when you've clearly spurned them? Seeing you hate instruction and cast my words behind you. So they may talk about how good the statutes are. They talk about how good the statutes are, but they don't bother following through with them. Yeah, yeah. It's like in the modern church, there are folks who will, who read the Bible, study the Bible, memorize a scripture, but they don't apply it to their own lives. They don't bother. They think, they think simply reading them, they think simply reading it is all that's necessary. No, you have to apply what you've learned, what you've studied. That's what God expects. That's why he gave us the word, so we'll learn and we'll be influenced by him. And for those who read the word, understand what the word says, and don't apply it, well, there's going to be judgment for that. Rest assured, there will be. All right, let's continuing on, verse 22. Now consider this, you who forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoever offers praise glorifies me, and to him who orders his conduct aright, I will show the way of salvation. I will show the salvation of God. Now consider this, you who forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoever offers praise glorifies me, and to him who orders his conduct aright, I will show the salvation of God. So he's giving those who have forgotten him a chance to get right. When you genuinely, and he says, you offer me praise, that you glorify me. And it's genuine praise out of genuine gratitude, not simply paying God lip service, saying how awesome, telling God how awesome he is, when on the inside you really don't think he's that special. No. Genuine praise. And to him who orders his conduct aright, I will show the salvation of God. Well, those who want to turn from their ways, orders his conduct aright, a realization that what I've been doing is wrong, and now I want to turn back to God. God will redeem that soul, for that soul is a repentant soul. That soul is one that wants to be right again with God. Now, and just understand something: you can't save yourself with good behavior. That's not the message that's being spoken here. There's no trying to work your way into salvation with good conduct and good behavior. No, it's a genuine turning your heart back to God and wanting to live for him out of love for him. Through that, someone can be saved, through faith. And through that redemption, as a result of that redemption, that person then lives the way God wants him to live, out of gratitude for God, out of love for God, not out of trying to earn your salvation, but out of gratitude for what God has already done for you. That is the plan of salvation. And that is righteous living. That's saintly living according to the Bible. All right, well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us. And we shall begin in Psalm 51 next time. Until then.